Adrian believed that I was the culprit who disfigured his white moonlight, and personally sent me to prison. While in prison, I received the news of my mother's death and the tragic information that my daughter had broken her leg. 6 months later, upon release and seeing the man again, I received a cold warning: "Evelyn, come out and be a good person." My heart felt as if it had fallen into an ice cave. I stood motionless, gazing at the indifference in the man's eyes. "Adrian, you still think it was me who hurt Selina? The judge has already sentenced you, you've served your time in prison, everything is a fact. Your mother even lost her life for you, Evelyn, and you still refuse to wake up. You shouldn't have been sentenced to such a short time, you should never come out for the rest of your life." After speaking, he threw away my luggage. Later, he handed me a divorce agreement. There was not a trace of love in his eyes, only filled with hatred. This was my husband of 10 years. He had long stopped loving me. Picking me up from prison was just to divorce me. I calmly asked, "Is it Selina?" The man's eyes suddenly narrowed, he sighed, and spoke without any hesitation. "You ruined Selina's face, she can't live normally now. This is me atoning for your sins." I suddenly sneered and refused his kindness. "For the wrongs I've done, I will certainly pay the price, no need for Adrian to trouble himself. However, if it wasn't me, the person who harmed me should pay an equal price." So I kidnapped Selina, preparing to add a cut to her face to confirm the crimes they pinned on me. When Adrian arrived, the knife in my hand had just been sharpened. Standing on the second floor of the abandoned building with its sharp edge carrying a cold gleam, I gestured the knife tip over Selina's pale face. The interplay of light and shadow made me look like an executioner who kills without blinking. Selina was tied to a chair with ropes by me, unable to move. With eyes looking at a madwoman, she avoided the knife in my hand and trembled as she begged the man downstairs for help. "Brother Adrian, save me quickly." When Adrian met my gaze, a flash of panic crossed his eyes, but he quickly regained his composure. However, in that split second, I smiled. Adrian was as calm as ever. In the past, I even suspected he was an emotionless machine. The only time he lost his composure was 6 months ago when he saw me holding a knife, and Selina covering her face, crying and moaning in pain. Upon hearing Selina accuse me of murder, he rushed over like a madman, snatched the knife from my hand, slapped me across the face, and kicked me, breaking 3 of my ribs. I lay on the ground, tears streaming down my face, clutching the man's sleeve to explain, begging him not to call the police. Adrian kicked me away, carefully cradling the woman in his arms, looking at me with eyes full of enmity. That scene became my eternal nightmare. "Evelyn, I've explained to you 100 times, 1,000 times, Selina and I are just good friends. You suspect everything every day like a neurotic. Selina has never said a bad word about you, yet you disfigured her. What is she supposed to do for the rest of her life? You should go in and reflect on yourself." He coldly shook off my hand, and I was still taken away by the police. Without mercy, he hired lawyers and used every means to send me to prison. He said, "What about Selina's future?" But he never thought about how I would live the rest of my life with this stain. I was still his legal wife. We met in humble times, started a business together, slept in basements together. No one believed in him, but I believed he would succeed. Despite my mother's opposition, I resolutely married him. Adrian did not disappoint. The business grew bigger and bigger. The company went public, and he became worth billions. I became the envied wife. I thought we had finally overcome hardships and would have a sweet life ahead. Until his childhood neighbor Selina appeared, Adrian changed into a different person. He began staying out all night under the pretext of work. When found, he was in a luxurious hotel suite chatting intimately with Selina. When our daughter was sick, he was busy delivering heartwarming lunch boxes to his little sister, leaving me alone to watch over her in the hospital. On our anniversary, he accompanied his little sister to celebrate her birthday, forgetting our past happiness. When I caught them, Selina timidly avoided eye contact with me. "Sister Evelyn, I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with this place, the only person I can think of is Brother Adrian. When we were kids, Brother Adrian said to come to him if I had any difficulties. It became a habit." To thank him, I specially invited him for a meal. Don't misunderstand, there's nothing between us. Innocently, she reached out and tucked Adrian's sleeve. Adrian has mysophobia and doesn't like others touching him, except for me. Yet Selina could casually approach him, tugging at his sleeve and acting coquettish. These were behaviors I once thought were special in the man's heart for me, but now he showed them to another woman. His face showed no displeasure at all. That meant Adrian had her in his heart. Sure enough, as if touched by something, Adrian activated his protective mode, shielding Selina tightly behind him, glancing at me with eyes like a ferocious beast. He spoke in defense, "Evelyn, Selina is unfamiliar here, I'm just taking a bit more care of her, don't misunderstand." Coldly watching the man's body and words lean toward another woman, my heart felt like it was being cut by knives. The more humble and compromising Selina appeared, the more unreasonable I seemed in Adrian's eyes by contrast. Our arguments became more frequent. I knew I had encountered a true green tea bitch. The man's heart had already tilted beyond measure. I directly gave Adrian two choices. 1. Return to the family and have no more contact with Selina. 2. We divorce directly. Upon hearing divorce, Adrian flatly refused. I knew well he would absolutely refuse. The company was founded by both of us, I was one of the shareholders, and it had just gone public with various unstable factors. Any major financial changes in the short term would be all harm and no benefit to the company. Adrian had finally gone from having nothing to being worth billions. The days of poverty were his lifelong nightmare. How could he bear to give up everything he had now? This was also the only chance I gave him. In the end, Adrian chose to return to the family. Our family of 3 lived harmoniously. Unfortunately, my thinking was too naive. When a person's heart has already drifted away, holding on only leaves unwillingness. It even arouses inner resistance and hatred. Especially, facing a woman he couldn't get in his youthful inferiority, he directly succumbed to hormones and surrendered. Moreover, he applied his full set of businessman traits to me. On one hand, he continued to play the role of a good family man, husband, and father in front of me. On the other, he secretly kept a mistress, fulfilling his youthful dreams, thinking he could deceive everyone, but it was discovered by my mother. Knowing I had suffered a great injustice, my mother held me and choked up. "Evelyn, don't wrong yourself. Mom was also betrayed and divorced by Dad. I understand the pain of that betrayal and don't want you to endure it." This time I was determined to file for divorce. Adrian still refused, even threatening suicide and checking into the hospital. Reluctant to give up either the woman or the wealth, I then realized the man's selfishness and self-interest. He even patiently tried to brainwash me. "Look, which billionaire CEO doesn't have a few confidants or mistresses around? For so many years, I've stuck with you and never had anyone else. I promise there will only be Selina, no others. Selina is very obedient, she says she just wants to stay by my side. We've also decided not to have children, no one can shake your position as wife." His words revealed what he thought was the greatest concession. I felt no joy at all, disappointment accumulated, leaving only disgust. Even more disgusting was Selina boldly coming before me, demanding I leave with nothing. This was Adrian's so-called obedient? Adrian underestimated a woman's greed and overestimated his own charm. "Evelyn, I am brother Adrian's true love. Back in our hometown, he was so good to me. If not for his family's poverty, thinking he couldn't give me a good life, he would have left for distant places. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had the chance to become a billionaire's wife. You're just a cuckoo occupying the magpie's nest. All this should have been mine and brother Adrian's." Humph, claiming to love brother Adrian, yet knowing the company is his life's work, you viciously want him to give it up. You're not qualified to love him. Since brother Adrian doesn't want to divorce and lose everything, then just become a widow. In any case, we'll end up together. Her eyes suddenly changed. With a mad laugh, she took out a knife from her bag, cut herself, and when Adrian came in, he just saw me snatching the knife. Selina pointed at me with bloody fingers, accusing me of trying to kill her. Tears filled my eyes. I hoped with all my heart that the man would stand by my side, but in the end, what I got was him sending me to prison. I couldn't believe he would treat me this way. In prison, every day I prayed for the man to wake up and do everything to get me out. Day by day waiting, month by month waiting. Not only did the man not get me out, he didn't even visit me once. Only my mother held my hand, tears in her eyes, insisting she would find evidence to bring me home. Later, he appeared, bringing me news that would haunt me with guilt for life. My mother had a car accident while trying to appeal for me and never woke up. In that instant, my heart was utterly calm. I knew no one could save me anymore. After release, Adrian proposed divorce. The only thing I thought of was that he had transferred assets during my imprisonment. Divorce would leave me with nothing. Better to fight to the death. Evelyn, release Selina now, and I'll hire the best lawyer for you, if you harm her even a bit. Ah, Selina's face was forcibly cut with a long gash from earlobe to lip, blood surged out, dripping to the ground, forming vivid red flowers, shocking to the eye. Neither of them expected me to actually do it. Of course it was real. My imprisonment was an ironclad fact. Selina reacted with horror, shouting, "My face! My face! Evelyn, I'll kill you. You'll die a horrible death." Adrian was also badly frightened. Under the dim light, his face was terrifyingly pale. I lifted my chin, amusedly looking at their expressions, finding it utterly spectacular. "Adrian, does this mean I don't have to go to prison?" Curling my lips, waving the bloody knife, with a face full of innocence, I asked sincerely, though the smile didn't reach my eyes. Adrian's gaze was fierce, as if he wanted to grind his teeth, but he endured and spoke again, "Stop now, and I guarantee you'll be unharmed." I felt no joy, only endless chill in my heart. Tears uncontrollably overflowed from the corners of my eyes as I pointed the bloody knife at him. The same harm, why did I have to go to prison back then? But now I don't. Was it because you wanted to be with Selina, so you didn't hesitate to send me to jail? From beginning to end, you never planned to save me. The man's expression stiffened as if his lie had been exposed and he felt guilty, staring at me fiercely. My chest ached dully, tears blurring my vision, piercing my heart with pain. Indeed it was so. Compared to our over 10 years of relationship, it couldn't match this woman Selina who suddenly appeared and reaped the benefits. He didn't remember that after his parents died in his hometown, relatives divided his family property, and friends stood by without helping. He came to the big city alone, living under a bridge, almost starving to death. It was me and my best friend who took him to the hospital and bought food for him. When he had gastric bleeding from socializing, I, with a big pregnant belly, sent him to the operating room. Heartbroken that his resources were hard-earned, I forced myself to stay calm, entertained clients, and secured orders. He also forgot that after the company went public, he took me to chase the aurora, promising under the lights. Adrian would be good to Evelyn for a lifetime. All the beauty became illusions when Selina, this white moonlight, appeared. I harbored hope that Adrian was an exception, but there are no exceptions. I don't. Adrian refuted, looking at me firmly. That day you injured Selina deeply, that was serious harm. I've done my best. But, now you still have hope, Evelyn. If you don't want to go back in, let go quickly. After all, having lived together for over 10 years, Adrian knew where to stab to hurt me the most. To not disappoint my mother's regrets and to get out early, I obeyed the rules, behaved well in prison, got released ahead of time, and started life anew. I kept comforting myself, if the man is gone, so be it, I still have money and my daughter. Returning to the long-missed home, upon entering, I saw Selina emerging as if she were the owner. Under the premise that Adrian and I weren't divorced, she not only lived in my house, occupied my room, but also slept with Adrian at night. Adrian dismissed my anger. Evelyn, I've said I need to take responsibility for Selina, which means caring for her for life. I've already arranged a house for you, move there in a few days. Then he took out the divorce agreement. In the agreement, I only got less than 1% of the company's dividends, and I didn't deserve the company shares or the house. He pushed me to this step by step. Love was long gone, the marriage was rotten, so let it rot even more thoroughly. I wanted back everything I lost. Seeing my expression soften and Selina about to faint, he could no longer stay calm. He came forward regardless, his worry shining like stars in the dark night, stinging my eyes and piercing my heart. Especially with the man's voice carrying humble pleas, "Evelyn, put down the knife, and I'll pretend nothing happened. If you think the money isn't enough, we can discuss more. I just want back what originally belongs to me, why discuss with you?" I looked at the man amusedly. Adrian, fearing I'd take Selina's life, nodded obediently to my commands, afraid of provoking me to harm his woman. But this wasn't enough. I wanted more, like my long-lost innocence. When the two relaxed a bit, I suddenly wiped Selina's smooth right cheek. Leaning close to her earlobe, my voice soft and gentle, like chatting with a familiar friend. "Last time the injury was on this side, right? Surprisingly, there's no trace of the 5-centimeter cut, it's as if she was never injured. So miraculous. Oh, why now just a little cut on the left cheek scares you like this?" My exclamatory voice echoed in the room. Upon hearing it, Selina's eyes filled with lead, motionless. The man clenched his fists, almost unsteady on his feet, stepping back. As if not seeing their panicked expressions, my gaze shifted between them, speaking deliberately, "Which plastic surgeon did such a perfect job? Introduce me." Or, "Selina, from beginning to end, you were never injured. It was you and Adrian who faked evidence to deliberately frame me." Selina's breath tightened, stuttering in rebuttal, It was you who disfigured me, it was you who wanted to kill me." She added again, "Evelyn, if you don't release me now, this time brother Adrian will make sure you rot in prison." Feigning fear, I moved the knife away a bit, terrified, "Meaning you're going to send me to prison again? And decide how long I sit as you wish?" "Of course. If you don't release me now, you'll sit for life." Seeing me move the knife further, a smile spilled from her lips. "Scared now? If scared, release me immediately." Selina was obviously terrified, speaking without thinking. Adrian was pale as a ghost. Annoyed at Selina's reckless words, yet afraid I'd really slit Selina's throat, he was tense beyond words. "Is that so?" In a flash, without politeness, I added another cut to the woman's face, forming a cross, especially like the anime I watched as a child. This cut was harsher than the previous one, flesh turning outward, blood flowing more freely. Selina fainted dead away. "Evelyn! You're crazy. You forced me, the police are coming." Adrian finally lost control and shouted, raising his hand high. Seeing him dial 911 on the phone was no surprise. Thinking I'd be afraid, I laughed out loud, "Adrian, I've been crazy for a long time." "Mommy." A soft voice approached from afar, piercing my ear and stabbing the softest part of my heart. Following the voice, I saw a tender face covered in sorrow, her white dress making her face even paler. But it couldn't erase her youthful beauty. If, ignoring that she was in a wheelchair, with her right leg showing an empty pant leg, it would be better. "Lily, our only daughter." The girl looked up, tears unstoppable, dropping one by one, her voice pleading. "Mom, release Aunt Selina, don't make another mistake." I looked hurt at my daughter speaking for Selina. "Lily, it was her who caused Mommy to go to prison." "Mommy. The evidence points to you, why are you still so stubborn? It was hard to get out now, do you want to go back in and make me lose the other leg for you?" She slapped her own leg, with bitterness, blame, and even resentment. My face turned ashen, stunned. Because Lily's leg was lost in the car accident with my mother. If not for Mom saying there was new evidence, they wouldn't have had the accident while submitting it. Mom wouldn't have died. My daughter Lily wouldn't have lost a leg and become disabled. Lily pleaded again, "Mommy, let Aunt Selina go, okay?" Compared to me, her mother, my daughter's gaze toward Selina was deeper. My heart bled with pain. Had Selina even occupied my daughter's heart? The moment I came out, I already had nothing. The culprits behind all this were clearly them. Glimpsing the triumph in Adrian's eyes, I realized belatedly that Adrian had arranged for Lily to come persuade me, just to save Selina. For Selina, he really went to great lengths. Suddenly, angrily, I pressed the knife against Selina's throat. Adrian, what did you and Selina say to Lily? Evelyn, this past year, Selina cared for the injured Lily without holding grudges. Lily is a good child who discerns right from wrong, she naturally knows who is good and who is bad. Who treats her well, and who caused her to lose a leg. But Lily is a kind child, she still took the initiative to come persuade you to turn back. As a mother, don't you feel ashamed? If you continue to be so stubborn, I'm afraid your daughter won't recognize you. Suddenly appealing to emotion, Evelyn, we've been husband and wife, I don't want you to get into trouble again. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you, just stop. The man's eyes were candid, sincere, I didn't believe a word. And in his eyes, he thought I was going crazy because I got little in the property division. Wiping the knife back and forth on Selina's neck, I softly made my demand. I want you to produce the evidence my mother had to clear my name, to prove my innocence. What evidence? There is no evidence at all. What do you want me to produce? Evelyn, you're still so stubborn now. I shook my head in denial. No, my mom wouldn't lie to me, she had obtained evidence to appeal for me. Adrian, don't you care a lot about your good sister? If you want to save her, produce the evidence. There is no evidence. His body leaned forward a bit, I directly stabbed the knife into Selina's thigh, and it was the right leg. Selina woke up, mouth open, eyes glaring, emitting a shrill scream. Evelyn, Lily, Mom, you're crazy. Mom is crazy, seeing your right leg broken, I can't stand others having intact right legs, just right, your Aunt Selina can help you feel what it's like to lose a right leg. Without blinking, I looked into Lily's eyes, and from her terrified face, I saw disbelief. I smiled inwardly, my daughter is indeed smart. Mommy, what do you mean? She asked with wide eyes. Lily, do you think how your leg was lost? It was the masterpiece of your good Aunt Selina. Adrian roared angrily, Evelyn, there's a limit to madness, Selina had no reason to harm Lily. After you went to prison, Selina treated Lily like her own daughter. She had no reason to harm Lily. Lily nodded in agreement with Adrian's words. Because Selina is pregnant with your child. I lifted Selina's skirt, her belly showed pregnancy, looking like over 3 months, but actually 6 months, right? Calculating, around the time I had the incident, she was already pregnant with your child. So, Adrian, you cheated long ago. I threw the examination report on the ground, the report confirmed the months. Under these 2 pieces of evidence, their dirty affair had nowhere to hide. Adrian guiltily stepped back, eyes full of disbelief, that I had investigated so deeply. The world was utterly quiet, only air flowing. After a moment, Lily slowly bent down, picked it up, looked at it, then turned to Adrian. Dad, is this true? Didn't you say you'd only have Lily? Adrian regained his composure, snatched the report, tore it to shreds, and looked at me with hatred. His silence admitted everything. What about him and Selina being innocent, atoning for my sins, and not wanting children, all lies? Adrian's usual calm gradually crumbled. Lily, your mom is crazy, don't listen to her nonsense. She's just instigating to ruin your relationship with Aunt Selina. Even if Aunt Selina has a child, you're still my daughter, Dad won't shortchange you on anything. And Evelyn is a criminal, the evidence of her harming someone is solid, the judge has tried her, it's a fact. Turning back to me, Selina and I got together because you disfigured her, she wanted to die, and I was atoning for your sins. Gradually, feelings developed over time. Evelyn, I admit I wronged you, but Selina and the child are innocent. I no longer wanted to listen to the man's sophistry. His infidelity during marriage was already a fact. I coldly retorted, what sin have I committed? The injury report said the knife went in 5 centimeters, I didn't feel it then, but now I'd like to try. Immediately, I lifted the knife and placed it on her face. Upon hearing this, Selina fainted again in fright. Adrian was also terrified and fell to the ground. At that moment, the door was smashed open, police came in, guns pointed at me. Adrian's suspended heart finally settled. His lips slightly curled, looking relieved. I threw away the knife, raised my hands in surrender. I smiled even more like a child. Everyone thought I was really crazy. But I was truly happy. Because I was only detained for 15 days and released. Adrian incredulously questioned the lawyer. He wanted to send me in like last time, and do everything to ensure I never recover. The lawyer spoke awkwardly. Adrian, Evelyn has severe depression. She attempted suicide 3 times in prison. When Adrian came to the hospital to see me, his eyes held anger of being deceived. You did it on purpose, you knew long ago you wouldn't be sentenced. I ate grapes, quietly looking at him, not saying a word, tacitly admitting. Adrian drew in a sharp breath. Evelyn, when did you become so vicious? I snorted coldly, still not speaking. In his impression, I was perhaps still that kind, unambitious woman, unaware that in these months, that kind Evelyn had died. And died 3 times. The first suicide was upon discovering Adrian's affair. Sleepless nights, I took sleeping pills. If not for Mom discovering in time, I'd be dead. The second episode was upon learning of Mom's death. I slammed my head against the wall, wanting to go to the underworld to apologize to Mom. The third was learning that in the car accident, Lily also lost a leg, becoming disabled and getting a disability certificate. Surviving and getting out relied entirely on the heart for revenge. Upon learning of my severe depression, the man was full of anger. The anger wasn't because he pitied my illness, but because I became harder to kill, unable to send me back to prison as wished. Moreover, we hadn't signed the divorce yet, we were still husband and wife, and he had the obligation to care for me. From today on, I would be Adrian and Selina's nightmare. After discharge, I returned to the Gu family villa. Opening the door to greet me was Lily, behind her the resentful Selina. With a smile on my face, I stared unblinkingly at the woman. Selina's face was covered with thick gauze, still seeping blood. Seeing my gaze on her face, she turned in terror and went back into the house, afraid I'd go crazy again. Seeing her expression of fear yet unable to eliminate me made me feel especially satisfied. Who made this house mine? The one to leave could only be her. But Adrian was reluctant. When buying this villa initially, Adrian consulted a master who said it was a feng shui treasure land, whoever lives in it will be prosperous. Later, the business indeed grew bigger, confirming the master's words in his heart. Over the years, no matter how many properties he bought, he never moved out of the villa. Lily in her wheelchair led me in. Seeing the servant leading me to the turn, toward the guest room, I stopped and wouldn't move. Selina stopped pretending. Sister Evelyn, that bed, Brother Adrian and I have lain in it for months, afraid you'd mind, you'll have to stay in the guest room for now. Actually, I overthought, you probably won't stay long, once you and Brother Adrian divorce. She didn't finish. Not being a fool, I understood her words. Seeing me silent, she showed a victorious smile. Lily worriedly held my hand. Mom, what to do? Looking at my daughter's expression, I knew she had wavered and stood back by my side. I felt heartache that Lily was dragged into this conspiracy. Stroking her hair to comfort her, I kept asking about her leg condition and took the attending doctor's information. You say this person is your attending doctor? Lily nodded. Dad said he's the most authoritative neurologist in the country. My leg damage is severe, all nerves severed, even with a prosthetic, it's useless, I'll never walk again. After saying that, she couldn't help crying. I didn't speak. After Lily returned to her room, I expressionlessly called the detective to investigate thoroughly. At noon, while Selina was napping, the master bedroom door was directly smashed open with a hole. Selina jumped up from the bed, watching 4 or 5 renovation workers surge in, smashing everything in the room to pieces. Even Selina's expensive jewelry wasn't spared, becoming a pile of scrap metal. Selina was scared almost to premature birth. In less than half an hour, Adrian returned, comforting the woman while glaring at me with hatred. I sat in the garden drinking milk tea, watching the furious man. Seeing no remorse from me, he instigated Lily to speak against me, but Lily was already 10, with her own ability to discern right from wrong, especially after learning her dad was vague about the car accident, she wasn't as obedient as before. Dad, you and Mom aren't divorced yet, you sleeping with Aunt Selina, where does that leave Mom's face? Mom coming back makes her the owner of the house, she can live wherever she wants. Seeing Lily standing by my side, anger surged. While comforting Selina, he moved luggage to the guest room, telling me there was absolutely no possibility between us anymore. Using this to intimidate me. Adrian, in high position for years, had seen too many kinds of women. He thought I wouldn't leave because I couldn't let go of our marital bond. I didn't care at all. As for dealing with them, one was to find the evidence from back then, two was naturally to drive them all out. I moved back to the master bedroom, declaring myself the owner of the house. Some servants lacked discernment, thinking I'd eventually be abandoned, ignoring me or tripping me up, treating Lily and me as invisible. I didn't care at all. If displeased, I directly fired them. The servants got scared and restrained themselves a lot. Adrian, fearing for Selina, even hired 2 bodyguards. Selina regained her confidence, revealing her true colors, even mocking Lily. She instigated Adrian to send Lily to a special school. My daughter only had a broken leg, not a lack of brain. Getting up at midnight, sitting at their room door wailing like a ghost, carrying a knife wandering every corner of the villa. Selina was scared, having nightmares repeatedly, clutching her belly in pain. Adrian was deeply afraid, taking Selina to the hospital overnight for checkup, and warning Selina not to provoke me anymore. Upon return, Adrian first settled her, then called me as I was going back to my room. Evelyn, let's talk. Talk about what? Let's divorce. I interlaced my fingers, watching the man's compromise. The gash in my heart grew larger, so large it wouldn't bleed a drop for the man anymore. Men indeed age slower than women, even nearing 40, his charm remained undiminished. Pity, he had become a black-hearted ghost. If not for the initial fuss, Adrian would think me easy to bully and send me off like a beggar. I wasn't polite, directly demanding back my share of equity. Adrian naturally refused, but he could buy my shares. Sure, after property division, use your own money to buy back. Seeing the astonishment in his eyes, he probably didn't expect this move from me. This way, Adrian's assets would definitely lose a big chunk. But in the end, Adrian agreed. Lily's custody was given up without surprise. Adrian, to show he was forced, insisted on paying child support. His hypocrisy made me feel sick. Thinking back, to conceive the child, I suffered greatly. In the end, he didn't care at all. Deep down, he resented me for not giving him a son. On the other hand, Adrian still held outdated rural thinking. You really want to go this far for a Selina? Adrian didn't speak, tacitly admitting, I was numb. With no affection left, we were strangers. Then I didn't need to be polite. Adrian handled it businesslike. Property division was quickly completed, agreement signed, 1.2 billion transferred to my account. Then to the Civil Affairs Bureau for divorce. 30 days later, getting the divorce certificate would end everything. Selina was overjoyed, thinking I'd leave soon, reducing many actions. When I returned, I didn't even see Selina's shadow. Lily told me Selina received a package, hurriedly went back to her room, and didn't even come out for lunch. At dinner, her face was pale. Adrian called her several times without response, thinking I bullied her. His face looked ugly. For 3 consecutive days, Selina was like a startled bird. On the 4th day, finally unable to hold back, she went out. I took a taxi closely following. Seeing the destination was Sion Hospital, my eyes narrowed. This hospital had a good reputation, best known for its plastic surgery techniques. Quickly following, I walked to the end of the plastic surgery department. Intense arguing between a man and woman came from inside. I stared at the doctor introduction at the door, Ryan, Senior Plastic Surgery Director. My heart sank to the bottom, my fingers trembled holding the business card Lily gave me days ago. I once saw on the confession that Selina's trauma report was signed by Dr. Ryan. How could a plastic surgeon treat Lily's leg? All this was just conspiracy and trickery. Selina was hateful, Adrian even more so. The detective photographed Ryan and Selina dating. I guessed their relationship was deep. I just anonymously sent Selina's pregnancy report to Ryan. Sure enough, it probed something out. Ryan sent some files to Selina, probably the real injury report from back then. Ryan, you're crazy, why are these files still here? Do you want to kill me? Ryan's furious voice came from inside. Even through the door, I could hear the man's rage. Fortunately, it was noon, and the hospital was almost empty. If I didn't keep them, why would you come to me? Selina, I ask you, is the child in your belly mine? Ryan, what nonsense are you talking? This is Adrian's and my child. Then a rustling of papers, probably Ryan producing some evidence. Then the woman sobbing, the man's roar, good for you, Selina, you actually used my child to exchange for your wealth and glory. The two argued for a while. Suddenly, Ryan chuckled, this isn't something the price for faking evidence back then can handle. Ryan, you're threatening me. I used my child and my reputation to secure your position as Adrian's wife. What's wrong with being a bit greedy? 100 million, and I'll pretend nothing happened. As soon as the words fell, I heard Selina agree. People can be utterly shameless for benefits. I don't know what Adrian, who values benefits so highly, would think knowing he's also part of someone's benefit chain. But it's none of my concern. Putting away the recorder, I left the hospital and sent it to the police, indifferently exiting. The midday sun was scorching, but my heart was cold as ice. After getting the divorce certificate, my lifetime bond with Adrian was over. Adrian ordered servants to load luggage into the car, supporting the heavily pregnant Selina out. Selina's face was rosy, unable to hide her happiness. With Adrian getting the divorce certificate, she also got a fresh hot marriage certificate, becoming the legitimate Mrs. Gu. Although Adrian indirectly gave me a large half of the assets, the company's prospects were excellent, and she didn't bother to care. Adrian turned and looked back at me, Evelyn, may we each live well for the rest of our lives. An adulterous man pretending to be righteous. I pushed Lily directly into the house and closed the door. Days passed one by one. First, I arranged for Lily to go abroad for surgery. The surgery was successful, and once fitted with a prosthetic, she could move freely. A month later, upon returning to the country, I saw a familiar Bentley parked not far from the villa. Pretending not to see, I went straight in. Soon, from the window, I coldly saw the car drive away. Since my return, Adrian's car appeared more frequently. As for why, naturally because he discovered issues with Selina's child. Before going abroad, I anonymously sent him many photos. Knowing Adrian, he would definitely investigate thoroughly. I heard that for half a month, Adrian took Selina to various banquets, all calm and quiet. Knowing Adrian well, I'm afraid these were Selina's last beautiful dreams. Once the child in her belly is born and a paternity test done, the consequences are imaginable. A week later, Selina smoothly gave birth to a baby boy. She opened her eyes wanting to see the child, but the child had already been taken out. In the moment before falling asleep, she wanted to grab the doctor's hand to ask something but couldn't. Upon waking, Adrian sat in suit and tie, face gloomy. Selina didn't understand, inwardly blaming. After all, she had just given birth, the great contributor to the Gu family, and he treated the contributor like this. Brother Adrian, what's wrong? After delivery, her body weak, even without a clipped tone, she was pitiable. Adrian remained unmoved, gazing deeply at her, his gaze shifting from gentle to sharp as a sword. He took out documents from behind and placed them before her. Selina saw the paternity report on top, her throat felt locked, unable to make a sound. But with weak body, she crossed the bed rail, grabbing Adrian's sleeve. Brother Adrian, don't believe any materials Evelyn gave you, she has depression, unbalanced seeing us together, deliberately making these damned things to frame me, she's just sowing discord to separate us. Scalding tears fell on the man's skin, but he remained unmoved. Selina gritted her teeth, flung away Adrian's sleeve, angrily accusing, Adrian, I gave birth for you, and you treat me like this. You know a woman giving birth is like walking through the gates of hell alive. Adrian seemed paused by someone. In his mind emerged a frail woman being pushed into the delivery room, still not forgetting to him, this signing is important for our company, you must go. Enduring pain, with a face full of maternal love, stroking her belly, saying to him, you promised to give us mother and child the best life, won't let us suffer, now there's this opportunity, can't miss it, the child and I will wait for you to return from successful signing. Then he signed the first order that determined the company's future lifeline, with tears. Returning with the contract, seeing the haggard woman on the bed and the pink bundle on the crib, Adrian was full of guilt and relief. The doctor came and blamed him for being inconsiderate. Childbirth is like walking through hell for a woman, how could you leave? You have such a good wife, you must cherish her, or you'll regret it for life. He knelt to thank the doctor. Ordered coffee for the entire department's doctors and nurses. And vowed, I'll never let down my wife and child. With much money and power, under various flattery, he had long lost his original heart. One hand pinching the other oligospermia report in his pocket, heart pierced with pain. He fundamentally couldn't make a woman naturally conceive. Back then, Evelyn lied saying her body couldn't naturally conceive, insisting on IVF, just to protect his fragile ego. Years later, deep down resenting Evelyn for not giving the Gu family a son. Then Selina appeared. Not only satisfying his male chauvinism, compensating for childhood inferiority, but more importantly, her young body could bear him an heir. Little did he know, he was the utter fool. Losing his most important treasure. Selina saw Adrian's sorrowful brows, thinking the man finally recognized his mistake, coquettishly approaching, this time I'll forgive you, don't do this again. Evelyn is just jealous I bore a son, she forgets her own age, still able to bear a dam. Indeed, she can't bear a son. Because I can't father one. Selina hadn't recovered from Adrian's affirmative joy when the next sentence shocked her silent. Adrian took out his own medical report. Selina, the ones who should atone are us. Selina didn't understand Adrian's meaning until seeing the police bring Ryan. Like crazy, she knelt on the ground begging, Brother Adrian, I was wrong, give me a chance. I just love you too much, that's why I tried every way to get you, stay by your side. The child isn't yours, but my love for you is real. You love me too. You can't send me to prison. Adrian looked at the woman coldly, just like he coldly looked at Evelyn back then, you don't love me, you love my money. I don't love you either, you just happen to have what I wanted. I also am not qualified to love, I've lost the person I should love for a lifetime. As the police were about to take her away, he spoke to wait, opened the safe, took out a USB drive. Everyone looked at him puzzled. Adrian coldly said, this is evidence of Selina bribing plastic surgeon Ryan and the taxi driver back then. Selina, originally bloodless, now completely crazy, red-eyed trying to break free, eyes bloodshot with killing intent. She knew she was completely done. Adrian actually kept these. You profit-driven dog of a man. Only Evelyn, that neurotic, would be with you. But you sent her to prison. Haha. Adrian numbly let Selina curse, extending his hands for the police to cuff. Selina's curses were right, he was thoroughly bad. And woke up too late. I was wrongfully imprisoned, after clearing my name, I got corresponding compensation, but for me, it couldn't erase this dark past. Only when Selina was sentenced for intentional murder did my heart find comfort. The only pity was Adrian paid a large sum to get out, and still frequently appeared near me. Seeing me as usual about to enter the villa, Adrian got out of the car and chased over. His face haggard, suddenly aged 10 years, eyes murky. Cautiously calling me, with some hope, Evelyn, Evelyn. Adrian looked up and saw a handsome man, holding a coat, gently draping it over Evelyn, protecting her like a treasure. This scene stung Adrian. He is my boyfriend. Adrian's eyes widened in disbelief, he looks only 25 or 6. I looked at the man amusedly, men like young girls, women like fresh meat, nothing strange. Adrian, don't you like this too? I'm learning from you. Then without looking back, I took the man into the villa. I knew Adrian wouldn't appear. His pride is more important than his life. The man pinned me against the wall, Evelyn? Is this giving me a chance? I looked up at the man's joyful face, calmly saying, I won't marry again, and this is just an act, you've crossed the line. 3 months later, I heard news of Adrian, kidney failure, waiting to die in the hospital. He wanted to see me and our daughter one last time. I didn't go, only had the driver send Lily over. Lily came back crying, telling me, Dad regrets a lot, begging for my forgiveness. I just nodded indifferently in forgiveness. But Adrian knew that my not seeing him meant I wouldn't forgive him for life. In the end, he died in the hospital with eyes open. I took chrysanthemums to the cemetery, touching the tombstone photo, Mom, the people who harmed you are dead, rest in peace.